Cool, team. So this one, we're going to go through how to start a diet properly. How do we focus on, really, I don't even want to call it a diet, a way of eating, a way of approaching this body transformation through training, nutrition, and really this recovery aspect in a bit more of a smarter way to look at what's really involved, okay? Because the problem is it's not your fault. There's so many coaches out there, there's so many so-called experts telling you this is how we can drop a ton of weight in 2 weeks. This is, you know, if you're losing more than 1 kilo a week, to be honest, let's give it that as a basic framework. It's not sustainable, okay? If you're dropping a huge amount of weight, provided it's not just simple water weight, that's not something you can sustain long term. So I want you to show you how to front load this properly, really be intelligent with how you approach this so that you can continue to move forward. You're not hitting the constant plateau and you feel amazing in your skin in the process, okay? So we're gonna go through each steps, and what I wanna focus on today is really going through how do we set that base properly? What is that base and what does it really look like to really be a bit smarter with those first steps? I wanna talk around this idea that I've been talking about for years, which is you have to start with health before you can look at performance, okay? Really looking at what those metrics are. We're gonna look at why muscles matter, why having some sort of muscle-centric focus in your training is gonna make a drastic difference to how you look, feel, and progress. And then the last one I want to touch on to give you something to really chew on is going to be toxicity and inflammation in the body are ultimately your key health anchors. If things are not moving, you feel like things are more stubborn than they used to be, these two areas are something you need to really focus on to be able to move forward, okay? Cool, so what's a base? I want to get clear on what this looks like. What does this really look like for you? Because, and this is really the reason I'm bringing this question up straight away is because I want to set this foundation the right way. So when you move forward, you know that we're setting things in place so that we can ultimately respond better. We can continue to respond long term, because unhealthy bodies do not progress. They will be stubborn. They will not move. You'll be like, why me? Why do things not work for me? Because things aren't working underneath. And this, I'm going to dive into this from a toxicity level, knowing that if you're, you know, at the end of the day, toxins are held in fat, okay? And if you're not finding it really challenging to drop body fat, it's because this high toxic load in the body, this unhealthy cell and cellular mechanism is going to be flawed. It's not going to respond with you because it's literally in survival mode. It's going to hold on to these things. It doesn't want to change, because if there are these things floating around the body, it's going to be resistant to what's happening, okay? If your energy is low, if you're not recovering, if you simply start training harder or you just start dropping calories, you're simply suppressing those immune systems. You're suppressing those hormones. You're suppressing everything that's supposed to have you responding to move forward. If you already feel like you're running on low, pushing you harder, working you harder is only going to result in burnout. Yes, it might work for 2 or 3 weeks. So you might see a couple results and keep going on that endorphin rush to progress for another couple of weeks, okay? But this is where everyone hits that mark 4 to 6 weeks into a diet and they say, why is things not working? Okay, why are things not progressing? And it's because there is no long-term focus. I want you to really show you how to do this smarter on the front end so that as you move forward, as you progress through this program, as you progress through your journey, you know that you're putting the right steps in place to keep your body on your side, okay? I don't want to have that short-term focus. Everyone's so, from a fitness sense, so pressured on getting a quick transformation that they're not smart about setting these bases properly. If you really want to make sure this change lasts and you want to feel great in your own skin, this is a really, really big one, okay? So like I said, health before performance. What does that really look like? At the end of the day, if you're trying to get something moving, I think the big thing, or the best analogy I use for this one, is you can't put a spoiler on a Prius. It doesn't make it a fast car. You haven't actually fixed the engine, okay? And if we can start to look at this ability to really move forward and fix the engine, fix that, the way that body uses fuel, maybe clean out the injectors, start fixing the spark plugs. If you want to really get into how a car works, I'm not going to pretend I know, but trying to make sure that you really set up this base to make sure you've got a more powerful engine, you've got that metabolism on your side, you've got that healthy functioning body, so that as you progress, you can actually recover, you can actually start to move forward, and your body's tolerating it, it's actually handling it, okay? Because at the end of the day, both your physical training and your work life, your overall lifestyle are both a stressor, right? So if you're stressed out all day, you're running around between meetings, or you've got a physically demanding job, and then you go train after that as well, you're going to see that this is just elevated stress. It continues through the rest of the day. So we need to really start with this ability to start with how can we de-stress the body? How can we actually put less of a toxic load on so that we can move forward, so that we can really progress, okay? That's going to be a really big one. Start with that health. We really need to make sure this is there first, because if we're trying to get anything else more out of the body, we're starting to push things. If it's just more of a stress, it's going to become more and more resistant. It's going to continue to break down, and you'll see things are not on your side. Cool. So why does a muscle matter? What does this really come into account, or how can we improve your training knowing this? Okay. But this, I think the main reason I keep bringing this up, and if you want to really dive into the mechanism around the training, dive into last week's training, but really getting this awareness around body composition is a hell of a lot more important than dropping your weight, okay? And this is why I'm not about weight loss. It's about dropping the body fat, building some muscle, trying to really make sure the metabolism is your friend so that we can upregulate the way your body works, okay? And this is really coming back to that same concept of not just trying to train in the way of how many calories you burn on the treadmill, because one, it's mind-numbingly boring, but two, you're only burning calories while you're on that treadmill. As soon as you get off, there's no more energy expended. There's not a huge amount of recovery needed. So there's no long-term benefit to the way your body burns fat more effectively. Whereas if we start to elicit a response within a muscle while we're training, we start to think about how we can contract more muscle, how can we really stimulate a response in that workout, whether that be 20 minutes or 50 minutes. We're trying to allow the body to stimulate that response that then, 24, 48 hours after the workout, your body is still having to recover. Your body is still having to uptake nutrients to really feel like it can progress and recover from those workouts. Now we're increasing metabolism. Now we've got that on our side. Okay, so I want you to really get away from this misconception around cardio being for fat loss and weight training for being for muscle building. It's simply not effective. It's simply not true. If we can look at weight training as being the stimulus and the source of that ability to move forward, and then having a healthy functioning body on the back end that allows us to direct whether we're looking to drop body fat or build muscle or both, which would be the ideal, allows us to move forward. Okay, so that's why I want you to get away from that thought process of thinking weight training or cardio are for two different goals. It's trying to make sure that if you want to improve your body composition, you want to drop the body fat, you want to build the muscle, you want your metabolism to be on your side, there has to be a base of resistance, okay? You have to have those muscles contracting. If you're cycling, running, swimming, it's skill acquisition, okay? You're getting better at those things. There's certainly a benefit, there's certainly a stress relief, there's certainly a mind relief, and those are all great positives, okay? If you want to do a triathlon, which those are those three, whether you want to just get a better headspace, you want to get out of sitting in your chair, you want better blood flow, those are all amazing aspects, but it will not be or should not be the foundation of you dropping body fat, okay? If you want to be effective with your time, maybe you're short on the time or you simply don't feel like the body is responding, there needs to be a base of actually focusing on the muscle, stimulating that response, and then you can start moving forward, okay? If you want to make the most of that, weekend bike ride, and you want to still feel like your body's on your side, you want to feel like your body's not holding you back, then doing those resistance training in combination with that will also help that workout, okay? I've got a lot of clients that are doing either road or mountain bike cycling, and those are really aspects where, maybe on the flat, you don't notice the weight as much, but as soon as you hit the hill, any extra kilos you start to feel. If you don't have that strength in your legs, doesn't matter how good your cardio is, you're in that lower gear just spinning away anyway, all right? So I do know that this, in the cardio perspective, this makes a drastic difference as well, okay? And what I mean by this biggest portion of the pie is something that we keep going over, and we've brought this back, but I think this is really, really important to know and really understand, okay? And if you haven't gone over this, I want to give you a quick recap on this. What this means is simply the awareness that the exercise activity thermogenesis, you going for a run, counting your steps or getting on the treadmill, is that small, tiny portion of your total daily expenditure. It's an absolute blip on the map, okay? The second part here is your thermic effect on food, which is actually bigger than your exercise by itself. So this is your ability to maybe eat things more often rather than fasting down on one meal. And this is why, a fast and GRI I'm not against, but I would do it as a once a quarter, once a couple of weeks, as a digestive de-stressor, giving the body time to recover. Not doing it every day. For most people, I would not recommend that fasting is a great option unless that training level is not particularly high, if you don't care about the overall performance of your body, okay? Having that level of frequency with your meals can upregulate the way your body's working, and that is what we're about. We're trying to make sure your body is functioning at a high level. We're increasing that engine size rather than putting that spoiler on the press, okay? The next part is this non-activity exercise activity thermogenesis. So this is awareness of, you're just your day-to-day, maybe you're walking to work, maybe you're doing cleaning, maybe you're doing whatever. That's just your day-to-day stuff. If your energy is high, if you feel like you're positive, you feel like things are going well in your day, this is actually going to be a pretty big portion of your day. If you feel sluggish, you start suppressing calories, you start training more, you'll notice you start sitting on the couch more and you start trying to chip away at this bit and you actually start to suppress this portion down as well, okay? So making sure you actually feel great in your own skin, you'll start to see unconsciously this portion gets bigger because you're willing to do more activities, you're willing to do more stuff rather than just plonking yourself on the couch, okay? But the big one that I wanted to dive into today, really get clear on this, was that basal metabolic rate, okay? If we increase our muscle mass, if we have that muscle-centric focus around our training with at least 3 sessions, 2 to 3 sessions a week, we're going to be able to increase this overall metabolic rate for that 24, 48 hours after the workout. And obviously, if we're building tissue, actually overall, we're going to be able to be burning more at rest, okay, which is where this is great. Even if we don't exercise it that day, we are still burning more calories at rest, okay? So this is where that level of training, that level of getting your hormones on your side, making sure your body is healthy, you can increase the main portion of that pie, really feel like you can move forward and feel like ultimately your body is on your side rather than having to exercise more, eat less. It just is working against you. And it's really, really clear when you put that, hopefully when I put that diagram up to get clear on what those steps are, okay? So I hope that's helpful. I hope that's giving you some clarity on why we start the way we do, why we really touch on those aspects. I want to go through some of the first steps that we really focus on, and we, as the underlying trend, as phase 1, our reset portion with our programs, as to what we move, what we adjust to move forward. Okay, and as I mentioned before, toxicity and inflammation are the biggest health anchors that are holding you back majority of the time to be able to move forward in your body. Okay, so toxicity is everywhere. I want you to realize that toxicity is not something you're actually going to get away from. You've got it in the air, you've got it in your food, you've got it in your water, you've got it everywhere. Okay, but the biggest aspect that you can control is certainly in your food. Okay, if you're having crappy meats that are, you know, and not of high quality, they're not organic or they're not grass-fed meats, that's going to make a big difference. If you're eating a lot of packaged, you know, over-processed foods, there's a lot of toxicity in there. If you're eating a lot of things with gluten or soy or these preservatives in there, there's a lot of toxicity. Okay, so if there's one aspect that we need to look at, it needs to really bring it back to this whole foods approach and ability to bring down the toxins in what we're eating. Okay, the other part to this is the inflammation piece. So this is starting to look at how our gut really functions. And as I mentioned on the last one here, leaky gut is very common. Okay, it's something that is a process of essentially opening up the gut lining. It's allowing a lot more toxins into the body. It's really overloading the liver, and it's really not having the body working as best it can. Okay, so if you can increase the way this body functions, if you want to increase the way this body functions, repairing that gut, focusing on reducing the inflammation through the foods you eat and understanding which ones you should remove, is something can really get you moving forward. Okay, this is why your body is being stubborn. Okay, if you're one of those people that even if you drop calories, even if you increase cardio, whatever you do, and you feel like your body's not responding, it stays resistance, I guarantee that these two health anchors are the ones dragging behind. They're the ones not allowing you to move forward. Okay, I want the one big thing I did want to add in, I don't want to attack every single diet on this one, but I do want to make sure you're not just doing another detox, you're not doing another skinny tea, you're not doing another smoothie blend or bloody isogenics to feel like this is going to help you move forward. It does not work. It's not going to be something that's actually improving what's happening. You're simply you're probably actually damaging your gut lining. You will be affecting your gut lining further because things just flush straight through you, right? You're not actually absorbing anything. Yes, you're dropping weight, but it's water weight. It's not the toxins. It's not actually that body fat. And your body actually has to recover long term. And that's why as soon as you finish that, whatever program that is, you'll put that weight on, probably plus more, okay? Detoxes are not the way to go. If you want to remove toxins, there's a lot of different protocols we get back into there, you know, things like sauna therapies, things like, hormone profiles will allow you to improve this. But one thing you can really improve, and the area I want you to focus on today, is the foods you eat, okay? If you're not being able to move forward, then you've got to really get that awareness around those foods. If you think that you can eat everything, you've got Mr. Iron stomach, and you don't feel like anything affects you, you're not paying enough attention. Okay, you've got to really find out what things do you maybe have to stay away from. I guarantee that fried food is going to make you gassy. It's going to make you feel bloated. And because you're using very, very low quality fats, the things they're deep fried in, whether they be the canola oil or any of that other crap, it's going to be storing a lot of toxins. Okay, one thing I've gone through with my clients a lot is this awareness of, you know, unfortunately, a lot of the, and we are certainly better in New Zealand, but, you know, in the States, and it's probably worse in Australia too, is this awareness around, you know, a lot of these oils that are in white or clear plastic containers, like our canola oils and our vegetable oils, are already rancid by the time they hit our basket. Okay, so if you're using them as your main oils to consume food, that is one of the biggest areas that you can focus on dropping down the inflammation in your body. Two things that you should always choose for the olive oil, for the coconut oil, for the oils that you choose in your diet, where ultimately they should be the majority of the time, they should need to be a dark container and they need to be in glass. Okay, that makes this goes for your fish oils as well. If you're choosing the healthies from the supermarket, they're absolute crap. It's trying to make sure we start with an oil that actually helps us move forward, okay? And this is where that quality aspect is so much more important than quantity at the end of the day, okay? If you're just getting in your fish oils or you're choosing the cheaper supplements, it's going to be next to not useful, next to useless in the way of you moving forward, okay? So getting those glass containers, investing a bit more into the olive oils and the fish oils you choose in your diet are going to make a big difference, okay? Fish oils as a high level of omega-3, which has those EPAs in it, is going to be really, really good at also dropping inflammation down. But again, you've got to have the right one, because if you are just choosing the cheap healthies from the supermarket, you're actually adding more heavy metals to your body. You're actually adding more toxins. So you're actually removing, you might as well just not take it, okay? So a big one I'll get you focus on is really that level of what foods that you're eating and how can you focus on choosing a higher quality, allowing you to move forward, okay?